G'day reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Welcome to Gallery Aquatica TV. Today we're going to be doing a huge tank swap. We're going to be upgrading from an Aqua One 215 into a Red Sea Reefer 425. We're going to show you exactly how we perform this delicate procedure. This is the Aqua One 215, and as you can see, we've got fish and corals. We've already removed the lights. We've done a fair bit of prep work for this job, but basically the contents of this tank are going to be transferred into the new Red Sea Reefer, but most importantly, the Reefer is going to be going in the same location as the Aqua One. So we'll just run you through some of the equipment that we've got for this job today. So the first thing, and probably the most important piece of equipment that we've got today, is this big black tub. Now we're going to be using this to temporarily house the fish and corals from the Aqua One. Because the new tank is going in the same location, we have to take everything out first before we then put the new tank into the position. But we've also got a heap of towels, we've got some hoses, we have a water transfer pump, and we've got some nets. Let's have a look at the new tank that we're going to be putting in the place of the Aqua One. So it's a Red Sea Reefer 425. It's a beautiful tank, as you can see. We've got the tank sitting separately from the cabinet. There's been a bit of work done underneath for the manifold for this system, so that it's going to be a relatively straightforward job. Now we've also got the plumbing set aside just over here. And we've got over here the sump with the skimmer and some other pieces of equipment. And there's one other thing that we'll have a look at, and that's the aquascape for the new tank. So this is the aquascape that's going to be going into the reefer. This was made by the client, and I have to say it's a very beautiful aquascape. I love the ledges, but importantly, we're going to have to lift this aquascape, which is epoxied together, into the reefer. And of course, that's going to be probably the riskiest part of the whole procedure today, because if it falls apart or we drop it as we're lifting it over the glass, it could be a disaster. So anyway, let's get into this tank swap. So this is probably one of the most important parts of this job today, is looking after this beautiful Magnifica anemone. And we're going to try and leave it on the rock. I think, I don't know, do we put it in a bucket? All right, we'll just lift it in. We've cleared out a space for it. Okay, so that went pretty well. He looks relatively happy. Keep him away from the other corals. All right. Transferring the water into our black tub. We've put most of the rock in there. We've put the anemone and a couple of corals. Ryan is just catching out the fish, and he's going to put them into the tank. And we've got the coral banded shrimp as well. So we've also drained as much water out of the sump as possible. We're trying to make everything as light as it can be so that we can push this tank across without having to really lift it. We're hoping to slide it more just to get it out of the way, so we can then transfer the other things into the new tank, into the Reefer 425. All right. So the one thing we are going to separate are the coral banded shrimp. You can see we've got the female here and the male just here. The female has got the blue coloration of the eggs, but we've put them in this bucket specifically because they're quite delicate. In this sort of operation, it's easy to damage them, crush them with a rock or something like that. So we're keeping them separate, and we've got that keto in there just so they feel a bit more comfortable. So we'll leave them here. All right. So we've got some sort of worm here. I hope it's not a bristle worm. So the fish that we've already put into the tub, we've got a flame hawk, a rabbit fish, 2 clowns. As I said, we've got the coral banded shrimp separate to the others. We're just looking for a PJ wrasse. I'm thinking he's already in the tub. And sometimes fish will do that. They'll hide in a rock or something, and it'll make it hard to find them. So this is the water we're going to keep and all the livestock in here, and we're going to ditch the last of the water, and then hopefully we'll be able to move the tank out of the way. We do have to disconnect the chiller though. Okay, it's done. It's done. So we've finished draining out the last of the water, and we're just going to take the sand out now. The sand is an important part of the system to remove because it's going to be heavy, and we've taken out about half of it, and it's probably already 40 kilos. So we'll take out the rest and then move the chiller, slide it along. So I think a lot of people laugh at me when I do this, but the best way sometimes to purge a hose is to blow through it. So we've just disconnected the first hose off the chiller, and rather than the water dribble out of the hose onto the floor, I'm just going to blow it out. All right, that's the first one. Okay, that's the second one. So that went well, and you can really put the credit to the floors. Having floors like this makes all the difference when you're moving a tank small amounts or sliding a cabinet. So now we have to get the reefer cabinet in place. Something to remember with the reefers is that the bulkheads of the overflow actually extend down past the bottom of the tank. So you've got to be careful how you place the tank. And what we're going to do today is we're actually going to put the tank on from behind the cabinet, so we're not going to risk damaging those bulkhead fittings. You ready? All right. So now we have to plumb it. We have to transfer all the equipment onto it, fill it with water out of the tub, and put the fish and the corals back in. So this is the fun part. There's a lot of cords and tubes and hoses, and we now have to plumb all this up. So happily, the customer's made this beautiful manifold, and that's going to make it a little bit easier. And we've even got the connection for our return pump, which is a Reef run, I think. And all we have to do is connect that up and then sort out the skimmer and everything else. Okay. So something that you should always do before you put the sump in is level the tank properly. Luckily, we realized before we filled it, because it's near impossible if you've got the sump in place. So, all right. So what I'm doing, I'm taking out these little black caps that hide a screw that you screw 3/4 to the left and You can then take each of them out, and we'll take this panel out so we can access all of the feet. So we've checked that the tank is level, and now we've brought each of the little feet down to meet the ground nice and firm so that the cabinet is well supported. So now we've done that, we'll put this floorboard back in. Okay. Over. All right, and back to where we started. Just a little status update. We've got our Magnifica anemone in the tank. I've just installed the roller mat. Hopefully that's okay. It hopefully doesn't clash with the skimmer next to it. Ryan's putting the last of the livestock in the tank. Now we're going to put everything back in, and you know, in the future, the client can move things around and make sure nothing's stinging each other and it's all good. But for now, we just want it back in the tank. Then we'll pump the last of the old water back into the tank and fill it up, and we'll be done. So far it's going okay. So this Aqua One Mini Reef 215 has done a great job for this client in the past. It's in great condition. They're a pretty good tank. The reefer is significantly bigger, so it will be a good upgrade. The reefer has some similarities to the Mini Reef with the overflow and such, but it's a bit more of a sophisticated system, and I think the client's really going to enjoy the new tank. We're on the home stretch. We've put all the water from the old tank into the new tank, and we're just topping up at a very slow rate with water that's in a storage tank in the garage. But the slow rate is good because we don't want to sort of shock the fish or the shrimp or the sea stars with temperature or salinity or anything like that. So I'm okay with the speed of this. We've got our first Gaia in providing water flow. So I always, actually it's a Red Sea Gaia style pump. It always feels good when you get that first water flow happening, because you know by that point you've got oxygen in the fish and the coral should be okay. But really we're getting close to the final stages. We've just got to fill it, turn on the return pump, and mount the lights as well. So the most important part of the filtration that we need to take from the old tank is the chiller. And so we're going to use a dedicated chiller pump for now until the manifold is ready in the future. And this is the Tico fitting that we're going to use. I'm just taking it off the old tubing and I'm going to put it on with new tubing on the new tank. Here we go, we're almost at the end and we've got everything running that we need to for today. We've got our chiller keeping the temperature down. The tank's running at 24.5 degrees, so I'm happy with the temperature. We've also got our Red Sea Reef mat, the 500, which you can hear it turning over. It's helping to clear the water. It's great to have these when you have a job like this because it helps to clear the water so quickly. We've also got our Red Sea skimmer right next to it, and that is working quite well. It's got the DC upgrade, and so we can control that, which is also quite handy in this situation. We generally run it very low so it doesn't over skim, which is the problem you often have when you put new sand or the sand back into an aquarium. And we've also got the Red Sea return pump. It's set to 60%, so it's all going well, and I think we can be happy that everything in the tank has made it through the tank swap. So we finally completed our epic upgrade from our Mini Reef 215 to our Reefer 425. Let's have a quick look at the Mini Reef. So this tank has done a great job for the client for over 2 years now. And as you can see, we've stripped it of all the fish and corals and water and equipment. We've pushed it to the side to make way for the Red Sea Reefer 425. And it's still a little bit cloudy, which generally happens when you do take the sand out of a tank and put it back in, but it's clearing up really nicely. We've got our Red Sea Reef mat, our Red Sea skimmer, they're helping to clear the water, and we've also put our Radion XR15s over the tank. You can see the fish and the corals are looking really good. The Magnifica, of course, the star of the show, is looking excellent, and hopefully it stays where it is and doesn't wander around the tank. But that's it for today's episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing. That's it for this week's episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Don't forget to like and comment on all our videos and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned to Gallery Aquatica TV for more exciting episodes to come. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing.